to have tonight Professor Finkelstein. Is a controversial figure, very well known from most of you, and we had these books recently out. I have to admit I didn't read it. I read the Wikipedia, and I read some of the abstract that was given to me. I have my colleague that will be more specific in presenting the professor, but this is welcome to Anka. Anka is known to present a book and scholar or other people, all kind of orientation from the far right to the far left. We did this in the past, we're going to do this in the future. We are for freedom of speech. Everybody has, the right to express his own idea, and answer and question will be very appreciated in this, probably, I'm sure, exciting evening. Carmen.
Thank you, Gianpaolo. Hi, friends. Norman Finkelstein is an American political scientist and author whose primary fields of research are the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the politics of the Holocaust. A graduate of Binghamton University in upstate New York, he received his PhD in political science from Princeton University. He has held faculty positions at Brooklyn College, Rutgers University, Hunter College, New York University, and most recently DePaul University, where he was an assistant professor from 2001 to 2007. Finkelstein has written of his parents' experiences during the World War II. His mother, Marilla Husit Finkelstein, grew up in Warsaw, Poland. Finkelstein explains why Israel waged a devastating war against the people of Gaza. He says that it was not a war against combatants, rather he refutes the Israeli version of the event by quotations from the reports of human rights organizations. He then shows that, unlike what the Israeli officials say, the Arabs, Palestinians, including Hamas, is based on international legitimacy and supported by UN Security Council and the General Assembly resolutions. In this wonderful book, he actually shows how Israel always escalated the conflict once a new peace plan was put on the table, before blaming the other side for refusing a peaceful settlement. He also explains how the international consensus could be capitalized on through the peace movements, and the
is to try to keep your attention, and by succeeding in that, a reasonably successful afternoon. So I'll be glancing at you every few minutes to see whether I still preserve your attention. I tried to prepare the remarks this afternoon in such a way that they would be suitable for an organization of correspondents, of journalists, of news people. And so I decided I wanted to narrowly focus on one topic, and the topic is how people can use simple locutions, simple words and phrases, and whether intentionally or unintentionally, by using those phrases, they end up being instruments of propaganda. And what I would like to focus on this afternoon is two simple examples. So let's take the remarks that were used to introduce me. Your name?
Karaman.
Karaman said I referred to what Israel did in its war in Gaza. And so the first question I think we have to ask ourselves is, was there a war in Gaza? And that's actually an important question, because Israel justified the death and destruction in Gaza by saying that it confronted, and now I'm using its phrase, an asymmetric war in Gaza. And many of Israel's defenders said, yes, there was a lot of death and destruction in Gaza, but that happens in the fog of war. That is, there's lots of confusion on the battlefield, split-second decisions have to be made, and so inevitably, if regrettably, innocents get killed, and there's a lot of destruction. So when we use the word war to describe what happened in Gaza were already setting a context which can easily become propaganda if, in fact, it wasn't a war. Well, what did happen in Gaza? After those 22 days that Amnesty International called the 22 days of death and destruction, Israel was very proud of what happened because it said, now we have shown the Arabs who's who and what's what. We've erased the memory of the July-August 2006 defeat in Lebanon. And now they said, we've restored our deterrence capacity, the Arab fear of us, because we won the war in Gaza. Well, as they boasted about having won the war in Gaza, an Israeli strategic analyst came along and he wrote in an Israeli paper, he said, it is very dangerous for Israel to believe it won the war when there was no war. In reality, not a single battle was fought during the 22 days of fighting. A former Israeli ministry official said, there was no war. Hamas sat in its bunkers and came out when it was all over. Well, if there was no war in Gaza, what did happen? It's fairly clear what happened militarily. Israel flew about 3,000 combat missions over Gaza. Every plane came back. None was downed. None was even damaged. That's not too surprising because Hamas had no anti-aircraft defenses. It took as much courage to fly a combat mission over Gaza as it does to shoot fish in a barrel. That was the first week, the air assault. And then, beginning the second week, Israel launched its land and air assault, its ground and air assault. Well, the Israeli soldiers were equipped with special night fighting equipment. Hamas couldn't even see them